I have two of Lisa Eldridge's palette to try out today. But we're also going to play with a bunch of other new makeup that's in my testing drawer. Some of it you've seen before and I have updated thoughts, and some other things are going to be brand new too, showing you. We'll start with the City Beauty City Lips. What can I say? I'm a hater. I'm a lover. I'm a sinner. I'm a saint. And I do not feel ashamed. Over here we're stupid little babies. Stupid little dumb little babies. I'm gonna use a Sisley Blur powder just on my nose. Tula sent me a PR package. I don't know anything about Tula, so I tried their sunscreen. Sometimes you can request like different sizes of things if they offer them. They offered a jumbo size of their sunscreen and I was like, always can use some sunscreen. And even if it doesn't work with makeup, I don't wear makeup every day, so like even if it works on my face, like it's fine. Some of my friends had said that they liked this. So this is the Tula Skincare Protect and Glow Daily Facial Sunscreen. This is so bizarre. It has an ungodly texture. It's chunky. Like, it's chunky. I just asked on Instagram, I was like, is this the texture? Is this what this is supposed to look like? The answer is yes. So I'm not sure if there's like, you know how the Chanel foundation, the one that CoverGirl duped, you know how that has like pigment balls in it? I'm wondering if like there's a similar idea happening here. Texturally, one of the most disgusting things I've ever touched. It's like I blew my nose and I used it as sunscreen. Once it's blended out, I actually don't think it looks that bad. Some people said that it was like too glowy or like made their skin feel yucky. I didn't have that experience the couple times I wore it on my face. I just like don't like applying it because it's that texture. That's a pass for me. I don't think that it's not effective. I haven't tried it enough times to like, I've never worn makeup over it. I might use it on the body, but I don't know that I'm gonna continue to use this on my face. You know how in our corner of the internet we're like, we'll say cosmetically elegant, and then Cam, Clove Room, so perfectly asked, what does that mean? Well, I think I have found something that is absolutely not cosmetically elegant, so I think we should count our lucky stars that it took so long to find something that wasn't, and this is it. It's this. They also sent over the filter primer. I have the shade Luna. It's supposed to be a blurring primer. I've used this once or maybe twice. I can't really remember how I feel about it. So we'll apply it to one half of the face just to see it if it blurs at all. We'll put it on this side of my face. Is there SPF in this? It doesn't say there's SPF in it, but it does smell like sunscreen, but maybe that's just remnant of the actual sunscreen. I clipped my eyebrow while I was shaving my eyebrows today, so I apologize for the ugly scab. I think that this has like a glow to it, like a slight sheen to it. Yeah, I would say that's done a little bit of blurring. It's not a very thick primer. It's actually quite thin. Normally when I use a blurring primer, I'm expecting it to feel like very thick, kind of like Professional from Benefit. I feel like that's a good baseline for a pore filling primer. It's much thinner than that, and I do really like the finish. I think it soft glow, soft focus effect. I think it's really pretty. It leaves a little bit of tack. It makes it feel like my makeup's gonna stay in place. I don't know if it's like my favorite primer I've ever tried, but it's not detestable, which the SPF was the first thing I tried from Tula, and I was like, well, we are off to a not very good start, but this is actually very lovely. Tula, if you happen to be watching, would love to know what's going on with your sunscreen. Like, why is it like that? This makes my skin look really good. Like, this is one of those primers where like, if this is all you want from it, I don't think there's really coverage, but I think the soft focus is like distracting from my redness, and the glow bank is also kind of like distracting from my redness. I could see this being someone's like jam, just being like, I'm gonna just throw that on my face. Maybe like a little bit of concealer. Maybe I like it more than I think I do. Something I have been doing is I've been concealing before I've been putting on foundation. And I do think that my concealer maybe has been creasing a lot recently because I just have too much product up there. And so I think if I start with concealer and blend it down and then only put foundation down here, I know a lot of people do this, by the way. I'm not coming up with anything, but I've been trying it. It does seem to help, but I am finding out which formulas are a problem and which ones aren't. And you may be surprised. I guess I'll keep you zoomed in. Like, we can be this close today. I tried the Sigma, what is this called? The Spectrum Color Correcting Duo in light to medium. I still haven't watched a thing on how I'm really supposed to do this, but I do just really like the lighter shade as a concealer for me. That's incredible. And it doesn't really ever get super caught in that fold underneath my eye. It's very good. I hesitate to recommend it because like, this is how I would use it. It's only the one side. So I wish they would release just a line of concealers in this formula. Straight up concealers, not like color correctors. I get it. I don't think that Sigma is like one of those brands that like has the funds to do many colors of the things it releases. So by like making color correctors, they can make less of them and cover more skin tones. But also it's just like, I'm not going to be using this like darker peachy one for anything because it just doesn't really match. It's just such a good product. I now understand why everyone really likes it. If I color corrected, if I was doing that all the time, I could see myself really buying into this and buying it all the time. But for me, it's just the duo of it all is what really throws me. I don't love duos. And I know I've complained about this before. It feels like duos are coming back. Next up, I'm going to be using a little bit of a combination of things. We'll be using the Sigma Skin Tint. And whenever I tried this other product for the first time, the Typology Glow Drops, I read the back, but then I still tried to use it the way I would use it. Of course, how I wanted to use it. It seems to be something you're supposed to like mix into your moisturizer, or I even thought maybe I could mix into a primer. Since I was trying a new primer with you on camera today, I didn't want to try it in my primer, but I've used the Sigma Skin Tint enough times where I think we'll be able to notice the difference of it. So I'm going to put a few drops of that in the Sigma Skin Tint. So the look that you're going to get today is going to be different than what I normally get with the Sigma Skin Tint, but I'm going to mostly be talking to you about my thoughts on the Sigma Skin Tint as we apply it. My birthday's on Friday, and I'm going to be posting a video on Friday, and I already posted it on my community tab, but if you have any questions, it's kind of like, we're going to do like an ask me anything. I'm going to try to be like a little bit reflective, so you can ask me like personal things. If you ask a makeup question, I'm probably not going to answer it because it's my birthday and I'm going to talk about me. I'll still be like using product and discussing it. I'm not going to be like answering makeup questions. Don't ask them in this comment section. Ask them in that comment section because that's going to make my life easier. Please help me. My birthday week. So yeah, I'm turning 34. I don't know. I don't really have big feelings about it. I guess I'm like now in my mid 30s, which is like fine. I don't know. I've really liked my 30s so far. So there's been ups and downs, of course. You know how when you get plagued by being unconfident sometimes, or like you get really tied down in the, like the nitty gritty of things sometimes. I find that in my 30s, like I don't get stuck in that very often where I feel like really shitty about myself. That's something that I feel like in my 20s was like, I was always upset about myself in some fashion. And I think like that's not something that I really has been happening in my 30s. And it's just like, also like we all are gonna age. And I think worrying about the end or like how my skin's gonna look in 10 years or whatever, it's just fruitless because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I have no control over that. And I think I'm just, you know, we're letting God and letting live. Like that's all I can do. There's no point in fretting about it. That's where I'm coming at it. Oh, wow. Okay. So it's going to be really glowy. At least that's what it looks like as I'm mixing it on my palette. The Sigma Skin Tint, I think, is something that looks really good on camera, but I don't feel like it looks as good in real life. I think I put too much highlighter in, which is like, I'm okay with a glowy look, but like it's the texture of the skin tint has fully changed. I don't think that this is the right shade for me of the skin tint. I did mention in the original time I talked about it, there's only 6 shades and it's just like, I can't be shade 2, but I know that Kelly Gooch and Linda both wear shade 3 of this product. I think I'm a little more fair than both of them. I shouldn't be shade 2 because I'm very, very fair. The highlighter made it even lighter, like not in like a glowy way, but like it just made it lighter. It's not a product I even dislike. It's just, it could be so much better. So like, I think the thing that it's like trying to be most like is it not in texture, but like in the way it describes itself is the Glossier Skin Tint. And the thing about the Glossier Skin Tint is I think Glossier has a ton of blur, and this one I don't really feel like has all that much blur. You know those like reflective shoes that whenever you put a flash on them, they like flash back a different color? I feel like that's what the Sigma does on camera, but like when the lights are such a way and like it really like brings the product to life in a way where it's like in life, I feel like it just falls flat. I wish the coverage was just more sheer. If we're gonna be doing only 6 shades, I think I should be the lightest shade. And I think that it should be more flexible in its sheerness. And I just don't think this has it. Look at how light I am. And of course I did like mix in the highlighter drops, but I don't think that's really changing like the color of it all that much. It's just making it a little shinier. I can't fully back the Sigma Skin Tint. When I look in the monitor, I'm like, that looks pretty good. The color's wrong. Like it's like too light for me and there's something wrong with the undertone. Not wrong with the undertone. It's just like not the right undertone. And it's confusing because I feel like I have foundations that are also very close to this color, but don't feel as off as this one. So I'm not really sure what's happening here, but I feel like on camera, it looks really good. Like, I feel like it looks soft, focused, and blurred. In person, it looks almost like dry. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Fenty Eavesdrops. It doesn't look like it wants to be on my face. What I will say is, I do think I like the finish of it better with the typology drops in it. So that's something. With these, the way I do my makeup, the way I do my skincare, there's not a place for that. I think it's really beautiful, and if you're someone who's very minimal with your makeup and you like a glowy look and you just want to put this in your moisturizer, I think there's like a time and a place for that. It's just not how I do things. If you like De Bronzy, or I don't know, what's the highlighter drops that Drunk Elephant makes? If you run through one of those and you really liked it, this might be a good alternative to that. I'm not sure price-wise how different they are. Not really sure how expensive Typology is, if I'm being honest with you. I think we're like looking okay so far. I put this in the wrong place. This is the thing. If I put something in the wrong drawer in my makeup drawer, it's like it gets like lost to time, and then I'll see it when I'm doing a different step, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. Pulled this back out the other day. Not that it's been lost for very long, but this is the Spectral Shine in Divine Daylight from Phytosurgence. We've discussed this before. It's not really a highlighter, but I like it as a prep step for the cheek because I find it to be incredibly blurring. It's like so good. Look at that. Look, I feel like my skin looks even better. And some of you who have this product and like didn't know what to do with it started doing it what I do with it, and you've said that it's worked out for you. It's a tough nut to crack. I think everyone uses it differently. You need to like find the person who's gonna do their makeup similarly to you, or like do something with it that feels worthwhile to you. And I just, until I tried that, I hadn't found someone who like used it that way. I think Jason uses it under his makeup, like one of the founders of Phytosurgence. I feel like he puts it on as like a primer. And the last thing I need is another primer. Although I primed my cheeks with it, but I do it after foundation. I think he like does it first. But anyway, I'm glad I rediscovered her in all of this. Look at how, like there's not much left. This is my Ritual Defeat Intuition Inner Glow Cream Pigment. We're getting close to the end of it. I think I'm just gonna buy it again. I'm certainly not doing another cream contour video I'm not doing another one. Y'all had opinions. The Sigma Skin Tint tries to trick me. Oh, look at it right now. It looks so good. And it's like, yes, it doesn't always. Here's a product. I really like it, but also it's just like the color is a little bit off for me. And I actually think that there's a perfect color for this for me. And it's in a trio that's come out this holiday. It's like, and I'm not going to buy a trio for the one limited edition shade. So I'm going to put Fox on from Merit. A little behind the scenes tea. You're supposed to like, whenever you're doing like an ad for someone, you're supposed to apply like a lot more makeup than you usually would so that you can see it on camera. And I think that's something that happens a lot with me on camera. I don't normally apply a lot of like blush product. It looks good in person, but like on camera, sometimes it doesn't read. And I feel like every time I've worn this shade in particular, I've always like dragged it on my cheek and like had to build it up a lot. And then I didn't like the way it like looked. But now that I'm applying like the amount that I would probably actually wear, what a pretty color. It gets really red the more I build it up. I like this formula a lot. I just think that Merit suffers like this. This is a good formula, but like you don't have a perfect shade for me. I feel like up until I tried Mimi from Westman Atelier, I felt like there wasn't a perfect shade for me. And then I tried Mimi. I was like, okay, this is the shade of this that will work for me. Where is my foundation brush? The concealer brush will do. I took it a little bit too far down. But look at that. That's like really pretty. I could probably afford to add a little bit more. But I don't want to add too much because I just want the little bit of flush. This is really pretty. Okay, I'm back on board. At first, like, I was like, I'm not even sure I'm gonna like really keep that color, but I chose to use it whenever I did do the ads for Merit to show it because it was just the easiest product to show. It was like easy to talk while I was doing it. The application is so pretty. Okay, I stand by that the formula is so easy to use and like, really, it's really hard to F up. There's something to be applauded there. And if you made it this far in the video, you probably care a little bit, but I am gonna be reviewing, it's gonna take me a couple more days with the Makeup by Mario palettes because I'm not sure how I feel about it. I really thought it was gonna be love at first sight and it just hasn't been. And I'm having feelings about that and I'm trying to work them out. And you know me. When I review something, it's really about the vibe on how much I think I'm going to use it. And right now, it's not looking good. I'm going to use the Sigma powder. I continue to really like the Sigma powder, but I do seem to like the Sigma powder the most with the Sigma complexion product. I've used it with a couple of other formulas and like I like it with those other formulas, but I do think it does the most magic when I'm using it with the other Sigma products, which cool synergy, but also in a very real way. Why can't you work with all of my things? The blur, there's something to be said for that. I think there also is a little bit of coverage to it too. So if you like a powder with like very little coverage, I'm not sure that this one would be the right one for you. But if you like a blur, and if you like a soft matte finish, I think maybe give this one a try. Sigma's pricing always like is jarring to me because it's like, I think it's going to be less expensive than it is. It's not that I even think it's like unfairly priced. Sometimes I think their things are like maybe you asked for a little bit too much money. How much do you get of this? 10 grams. I do like that powder. I'm gonna use the Gucci bronzer and then we'll also use the Gucci highlight today because I feel like I haven't talked about the Gucci highlighter on camera in a bit, and so we'll touch up on it. This is the Gucci bronzer. Now that it's fall, I've been pulling it out again. If you were newer to my channel, I was using this Gucci bronzer like all last winter. It was a gift from my friend Cole, who's also known as Majestic Beast Beauty. She's a very ruthless reviewer. If you think I'm a ruthless reviewer, go read Nicole's reviews because she'll tell you what's good. I don't even remember her review on the Gucci on this being like bad. I just don't think she loved it as much as everyone else did, and then it turns out she passed it on to me and like I love it as much as everyone else did. I hope the eyeshadow is as warm as I remember it being when I swatched it the other day, but I'm having doubts now. I'm like, we're going a little warmer than I wanted. All last winter, I was like using the Gucci bronzer. I was like, the Gucci bronzer. And then summertime hit and I was like, Gucci bronzer? I didn't like love it as much. And I did surmise at the time, I was like, I think whenever fall comes back and I'm feeling pale and I went, it's my fall winter bronzer. Let's talk about the Gucci highlighters. I'm going to be using the shade 4 Opal Pink. I have spent some more time with my highlighters and I bought this around the same time as the Hindash highlighters. And I was going to do like I don't think I ever like really intended on doing like a dedicated video, but my intention for the real people who watch my videos all the time, I was going to be able to give them some insight to them. And of course, I always take a very long time to come up with that insight, but I think I've come to the conclusion. I love the Hindash highlighters. I love them so much. An unbelievable amount. I love the Hindash highlighters. I love these too, but not the way that I love the Hindash. Like I love those Hindash highlighters, but I really love these. And the thing was, this was the first shade I bought, the Opal Pink, and then I bought the purple one because I thought I would like the purple one more. But what has turned out to be true is that I was right the first time and I should have only bought this one. It's not that I dislike the purple one. I don't dislike it. It's like this gives me a thrill because this shade feels, there's nothing really like this shade. It's like this, almost like I don't even know. I love it. I love it. And it's like, I feel like I haven't in a really long time loved to put on a lot of highlighter, but like, I love putting this, like I can keep putting it on, Like Hindash highlighters, I don't like to go overboard on, like normally one swipe is good, but like this, I keep going, ooh, and I go more and more. And then the color of it is just like, there's something to it because it says pink, but I don't even feel like it reads as pink in there. And on the cheek, I don't feel like it reads, like it's like, maybe it's kind of like almost like a beigey pink highlighter, which I think almost is like the color of my skin tone. And I think that's why I really like it's so great. And I do think that this was actually made with the intention of working on people with medium skin tones. And I don't feel like I really get a cast with it. It's just kind of worked out very well for me. And so I've been very thrilled with this one. So kind of like where I'm at, if it were to come to a reckoning today, La Luna from Hindash, it's already in the perm. I've really come around to Doll Dynasty. I've been wearing that with some of my warmer looks. And if I use just the lighter side, it doesn't really pull all that warm and I feel like I can get away with it. So I might keep that one too. What I really need to do is like kind of go through all of my highlights and really decide like what's going to stay, what's going to go. And I think at this point in the year, I might just keep the testing drawer going until the end of the year. And then I'll do my complete collection declutter. And then I will do my reckoning. And then in that reckoning, whatever's like left, I don't know. Like I think I have intentions. Okay. So stick with me. Stick around to see how that resolves itself. Let's take Opal Pink and get going. And I just keep doing that. I mean, I know that's like what highlighter is supposed to do. I guess when it comes to the Gucci highlight, if you were interested in it, this would be something that I would think would be worth swatching in person and sitting on it a bit. And I don't really regret buying the purple one. Like, I've been enjoying wearing it. This one is like the star for me of it. You might benefit from going to trying them in store and seeing which one really speaks to you and then buy the one special one. And that's always kind of what I recommend. If you like a product and you only bought one shade of it, that one shade is the real reason why that product is so special to you. Like, the formula can be great. All of the other things can be really great too. But it's just like that shade and formula was what clicked. Losing that shade as part of why you like it will probably make you like the other colors not as much. So that's basically what I'm saying. It's like, I think there's perhaps a potential place if you are so interested in the Gucci highlighter for one of them, but I do not think you would need more than one of them. It's just like, so I think if you have a store that carries the Gucci highlights, go play with them. Also, they're kind of like an interesting texture. I find that the finish is like, while it's highlighting, it's very smoothing, and you can really get it to this, but you don't have to. You can make it more soft and demure. But like, I've been I like wearing it this heavy. I have to figure out whether or not the purple one, I think it's called something lilac, frosted lilac. I have to figure out if that has a place in my collection. It's just the least special one, and it was the one that really started this highlighter thing off for me, and it came in last place. Again, it's not bad, and I think that it will be some people's perfect Gucci highlighter. It's just not my perfect Gucci highlighter. I'm gonna prep my eyes real quick, and we're gonna start playing with the Lisa Eldridge stuff, and I'll give you like first impressions on camera. I haven't put these on my eyes, but I've obviously opened them and interacted with them in a little bit. I've swatched them. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking going into them. And I won't be doing a dedicated review of these. So you're going to see them now. You'll probably see me apply them a couple more times on camera. And then you'll probably see them in the reckoning, and that's where you'll get like my more final thoughts. So I'll be using the NARS smudge proof eyeshadow base, and I will be topping that with a skin colored eyeshadow. As I said in my last video, these eyeshadows were gifted to me by my friend Ananda, who's medium olive on Instagram. She offered me, I think, 4 of the palettes, and she was like, would you want any of them? And I had to show some restraint because, not to be rude, I have a feeling that I'm not gonna like love these. And that was before I even accepted Ananda's offer. I think the thing that's been holding me back from like really trying Lisa Eldridge stuff is that what if I'm the voice of dissent? What if I'm like the one person who doesn't like Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows? Like, what if I'm that person? It's possible. And Lisa Eldridge is a very popular brand and person. And as I've learned as a content creator, that's when people get most defensive about someone's artistry and their vision for their brand. So, you know, that's why I'm like a little bit nervous to even try these. I was offered 4. Fawn and Vega were the 2 that I accepted. I was also offered Sorcery. In the reality, it's like, I'm probably not going to use Sorcery that much. So I tried to show restraint and pick the 2 palettes that I think, if I liked them, would be the ones that I could see myself continuing to use. There was another one she offered me. I can't remember what the other color story was. I had to like look them up because people who are very into Lisa Eldridge know all the color stories off by heart. Vega is one that I know is pretty popular. I think it's one that's out of stock very often. I know a couple of my friends got it on a restock recently-ish. Yeah, so this one seems to be very popular. I can understand why. It's very like my smoky eye kind of fantasy. It looks like there's some like glitter toppers, shimmery shades in there, and then 4 matte shades in there. So that seems like something that would make a very beautiful smoky eye for me. Fawn, I think, is the most recent release. Makeup by Muse actually swatched this for me after I talked about it in Critical Sass. This actually was giving me the vibes of a Divine Rose 1 from Pat McGrath, which was the last remaining Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette I had that was like in its totality in my collection. I like that kind of thing. I picked this one as well, especially because I guess this shade White Tie I was told I would really like, but also this seems like very my speed right now. I was actually pretty jarred at the size of these. Like, I don't know why I thought they would be bigger than this, but I thought they would be. I knew they were only 6 shades, but for some reason I was like, that's gonna be bigger than it. So the packaging is pretty sleek. I like the size of it. The bump in the middle there, I don't quite love that. I wish it was just slick down the front with the embossing of her logo. I think I would have liked that a little bit better. You probably already know this if you've watched any other video. The pans are removable. You can rearrange them. You can buy singles of her shadows. I don't believe that she sells the purple eyeshadow palette. Maybe that was the other one that Ananda offered me. I don't think that they sell that as a palette anymore, but you can buy the singles. But also, if I'm correct, they don't sell this by itself without a color story in it. I like the size of it. The mirror is great. I like weighty packaging. And I have the Olivia Palermo. Ananda sent me those too. Those are 6 p.m. palettes, and those feel so luxe. They're so heavy. If your vision of a travel palette is something very light and compact, then I think this is like going to be good for you. It's like verging on reminding me of the Victoria Beckham smoky eye bricks. Obviously not the same thing, but it's like kind of just like a little bit bigger than that. Like it's very petite. And if you have 6 shades, of course, it doesn't really need to be bigger than this. I will say not very accessible in my opinion. So there's like not much to hold on to. It's just kind of like hard to hold a little bit. Opening is like, I can't open it this way. I can't open it without putting my fingernail in this ledge to open it. It's not an incredibly strong magnet. Once I get my fingernails in there, I can pull it apart. So not like incredibly hard to open like the Westman Atelier compacts. Those are like really hard for me to open. I think it would be great if we had something better to grip on there. Just be aware of that. If you have dexterity issues, you might need to find a workaround to get this open. I know people who have dexterity issues probably have a lot of tools and ways to make things more accessible to them, but I think that we could have still been very sleek and also made it easier to open, because I'm going to be annoyed opening them. And it's like not even that annoying for me to open them, but like I'm annoyed. The petty boots over. I swatched these with my fingers. The first thing I felt, oh, these feel like the Natasha Denona cream to powder shadows. Scary. Another thing it kind of felt like, I'm hoping that is how they apply, are the Charlotte Tilbury Future mattes in the Beautyverse palette. I love those mattes, and they kind of have a similar feel, but these are a lot firmer. The ones from Charlotte Tilbury are like, not that like it moves around a ton of products when I touch them, but it gets softer to the touch. These are like firm. They're firm and they don't feel like powder. They feel more like creams. It was bizarre. That was not what I was expecting. I was expecting something that felt like Viseart or Hindash, and it does not feel like that. I'm going to, allow the shadows to work and speak to me, allow them to take me on the journey that they want to take me on. I immediately thought of Hannah's review of these whenever I first touched them. Hannah did a very long dedicated video to these eyeshadow palettes whenever they came out. She bought a couple of them, and I think she also bought a couple of single shadows from them to kind of give them all a try. And she didn't like them. Although the way I do my eyeshadow and the way that Hannah did her eyeshadow specifically at that time were like very different. So I thought, while I was watching her review, that I was like, I think I might like them, but I can't really figure it out. This is me figuring it out. I want to use fawn on my eyes today because that's kind of like what I've been building the look around. And then I have some lip products that I think are going to go better with this. This one's hot on the market, and I'm going to get you zoomed in and we'll give it a try. There are different types of formulas in here. When I touched them, they all kind of felt the same. Even the shimmers kind of had the same feeling as the mattes did as well. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what the difference is. I know that Lisa is a professional makeup artist, and not that every professional makeup artist uses natural hair brushes. I'm feeling called to start with natural hair brushes, and then if those feel like they're not working, I'll try some synthetic. So I'm just going to do like basic smoky eye, basic hautemesstom smoky eye, just to, get my head wrapped around it. So we're going to start with this shade right here, which I think is called Upper West Side. My brushes need to be washed. It looks like it's picking it up on there. And I'm going to use that as a transition. At first, I couldn't tell if the brush was picking up any of the product. And then very clearly, you can tell that there's something on this eye and there's not something on this eye. Okay, so I really like the way it looks. I feel like it's like blurring the eyelid, which is nice. Love that effect. I guess I was expecting it to be a little bit darker and maybe have more impact upon application. I did clean this brush in my Sigma brush cleaner thing, but I think there's still a little bit of yellow left on it from the last time I used this brush. So I think that it's looking a little more yellow than I think the shadow actually is. So that's my bad. That's my bad. And I know a lot of you are like big Lisa Eldridge fans, and you like watched the launch videos and a lot about these eyeshadows. What I'm going to ask from you is like, I want to figure these eyeshadows out for myself. I think that makeup I should be able to figure it out, even if it's not the way I would normally use it. I think I should be able to figure it out, and like I don't need to know the intention behind it. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I think that people need to be making makeup that feels approachable and easy to use. Because I find that whenever it's someone who also has an internet presence and I'm trying something, people really like to, and I know that that information's out there, but I think it should feel intuitive. So it was a little jarring at first, but I like the way this is applying. It is basically working like I like mattes to work, a slow build. I will say it's a lot slower than I was anticipating. My favorite formula is like the Viseart formula, the Hindash formula. I feel like I need to only really go back to the palette twice or maybe even 3 times, but I feel like to get this amount of buildup on this shadow, it took like going back to the palette like 4 or 5 times. Some people are gonna like that. My inclination is always to like tap off excess, but this formula doesn't do that. Like, I don't think even if I had an excess of product, if I tapped it, the way that this formula feels would. So it is nice to not have to like tap off the brush. I will say that. It is just like my habit, my nature, like that's it's like always like if I picked up something, I'm gonna smack it off as well. But I think that's to the detriment of this formula. I can't tell, and maybe if you have this palette, is this shade a little bit yellowy? Because I feel like it's reading a little bit yellowy. This definitely was used for yellow eyeshadow prior to this. But I feel like this eye is also just as yellowy as this eye. And normally the excess color from whatever I use the palette with last time normally gets all rubbed off on this side. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's incredibly seamless. Charlotte Tilbury mattes, the Future mattes, are like more pigmented than this, and then they blend out to a softness. I feel like this was kind of like the reverse of that, where it's like the pigmentation is really soft and the formula blends really well. So I think that's why it takes some layering to even get like this much of the eyeshadow on my eyes. But that was that shade, and that was what was the velvet shade. So I haven't even used one of the seamless mattes yet. So we'll get into one of those next. I'll keep using natural hair still. I'm all for, having multiple formulas and finishes in a palette, but like, I guess I don't need multiple matte formulas. And I think Natasha Denona is also guilty of that too, where it's like, here's my cream to powder matte. No one asked for that. I didn't need that. What is that adding to the palette? I'm trying to make sure that I get everything off of this brush before I go in, because I definitely used a really dark shade with this brush prior. Oh, that's not even the one. That's not the one that I want. I kind of like that little bit of yellow though. Going into this middle brown here, it's the shade Supernaturally, and this is the seamless matte. Do you see that? Like, it's not much like another formula I've tried. It does pick up mostly like the Future mattes from the Beautyverse palette. Okay, wow. Okay, that was so much better. I'm wondering if it's just the depth. It did everything I wanted it to. That's beautiful. Okay, my skepticism's fading slowly. I'm wondering if I even should try this formula without powdering the eyeshadow base, although it's not having issues blending over it. Hold on, let's unpack this a little bit. This brand is so hyped. Like, people can't come into this brand with such good faith because of Lisa. And that's great. Like, that has the reputation, has built her brand in such a way. But like, in my head, I'm like, there's just no way. But like, I mean, the results really speak for themselves. Oh, maybe I need to do a little bit more on the side, but like, it's blending like incredibly. I am just grabbing a clean brush and just kind of like doing more blending. I do that with a lot of formulas. Okay, I'm gonna go in more with this one right here. If you have a septum piercing, do you ever just like swipe it and then all of a sudden your whole face is itchy? Your sinuses just go that like that just happened to me, and I was like, I hate this. I have like some sensory issues, but like I don't like normally not like that. Like, it really took me out just now. Like I needed a second. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, which is called Burnt Clove, which is another seamless matte. I don't know if it's supposed to be a black or like a navy. Let's find out. I do feel like this shade's getting away from me a little bit. Like it wants to stretch further than I'd like for it to. It's like not looking bad, but it's just like getting away from me a little bit. Sometimes that happens with like dark shades though. But like the blend is still impeccable. I think I didn't want it that dark, but here we are. I really wasn't expecting it to be this smoky whenever I was like looking at the palette, but like it's pretty smoky. I'm not gonna use glitter primer. I'm gonna take this right here. It is called Debutante and it's a satin duo. It's a duochrome. How do people do this? You get the pink and then you see how it's a duochrome? Pink and like gold. It's not like a unique duochrome. It's a very common duochrome, but also like one of those duochromes that's like pretty popular. It's like a lot of brands have that. This is leaving what are you focused on? Hello? This is leaving a lot to be desired. I feel like the brush doesn't really want to pick it up. Like it's there. I know that this is probably not supposed to have like indie eyeshadow duochrome impact, but I also feel like I'm kind of getting nothing. So I'm gonna go in with my finger. I don't love this. I don't love this shade. I'm trying to work out whether it's a formula or a color thing. It's very soft bridal. What's the other shade that we have? White Tie is a luminous shade. And it seems to be a topper. I think I know what my issue with it is. Like this shade's very sheer. It's like almost too sheer. Even with my finger, I think it's like sheer. Like you can still see what's underneath it, which is great if you were going to use it on top of one of the other shades, which I certainly will try at some point, but like it's very lackluster on its own. Pat McGrath has a shade that's like pretty similar to this called Pale Fire, and it is not like one of Pat McGrath's like most impactful shades. It's like a very soft, demure shade. It's like it's a gorgeous eyeshadow, and it like has more of a base to it, and I think that allows the duochrome of the shade to be a little more apparent. I just think that this is just, it's too little. I think people who would be attracted to this type of eyeshadow would also still like Pale Fire from Pat McGrath. I'm gonna pick up a White Tie and see what happens. Okay, like that fully covered that up. That covered up the duochrome. That's not really, I thought it was going to be a topper. I'm going to have to go ahead and say I was wrong. Now I wish I never put the other shade down because I think this is really pretty. It's also just basically covering up the other one completely, which like when you look at them, it doesn't make sense for that to be more opaque than that, in my opinion. It's not super sparkly. It's a very demure sparkle, so not my usual sparkle. But I do think it could still warrant a sparkle cam if you want to do some sparkle cam with me. Still very pretty, still pretty sparkly. Let's kick it up a notch and a little blur. Yeah, so not my most sparkly, very demure, very mindful. Here's what I'm thinking. There was one shade I did not use in the palette, and that was the shade Upper West Side, which is a velvet. That's a formula I still have to try on the eyes. This is very bridal. If you're getting married and you want like a soft, just soft smoky eye, which is like a lot of brides tend to want that, this I think would be really perfect for that. Like, that's what this palette was made for. That's what I thought about Divine Rose 1 actually, but Divine Rose was like a little more cool toned. It actually, like, as I got to know that palette a lot more, I was like, this is more distinct than I thought it was. I like the mattes a lot. If Lisa released like a palette, and not a little palette, like a pro palette of the seamless matte formula, would love that. The shade I didn't use is called Dorian, and that's a luster, and I did not use that today. I liked the velvet one, but I liked the seamless matte a lot more. But the velvet one, I need to play with more of that formula. I don't know if there are any in the Vega palette. Yeah, there's a velvet in here, but I like the mattes a lot. The duo, the soft duo or satin duo, didn't really love that formula. White Tie is really pretty. It's just softer than my usual sparkle that I'm usually into, but I like it. Like, I like it. I think it makes sense with the palette. I'm not thinking that it doesn't feel misplaced. It's just like not my thing. I'm hoping that whenever I try Vega out, I feel a little more inspired because of like that shade right there is really pretty. The shade Supernova, that's another luminous. And then we have a metallic in here too, this shade right here. So maybe I'll feel more like a hautemesstom eye from it, but like this is pretty, but it's like, I don't know. I wish I loved it a lot more than I'm feeling for it. So it's like nice, but it's also just like, I kind of wanted more, but I like the mattes a lot. So I'm excited to use the mattes again. I'm excited to use the palette again, but first impressions, not the worst. I'm not feeling like over the moon about it. You know, it didn't surprise me. It didn't really disappoint me either. I'm gonna finish off the eyes, I think with just mascara today. And I am gonna crack open a new one for you because I'm kind of sick of the one from City Beauty. I don't love it. So today I'm gonna be trying the Typology one. This is their serum mascara. So let's take a look at this wand. Ooh, not the wand I was expecting. Oh wow, oh, never mind. It's like, it smells like the Gucci powder. Oh boy. Tom is losing it. I mean, it's a very natural mascara, like perfect for today's more demure look. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm gonna do the other eye and then I'll come back and let's see if we can build it up at all. It kind of smells like essential oils. I don't think that essential oils can go near your eye. And I don't think that's what's in there. I'm just saying it kind of smells crunchy granola. Let's just see if we can build it up. It's like this brush doesn't want to grab my lashes. The first pass on my lashes, it like didn't, for lack of a better term, like tug on it. So then I just kind of felt like I wasn't, I mean, it built on itself a little bit, but like not in like the prettiest way. I don't really normally do that with mascara, but then I was like, sometimes you just go. Sometimes the mascara takes you where you need to go. I'm not sure if this one is. My preferred mascara is like Woo Out the Bam Big Old Lash, and that doesn't really feel like it requires a second coat. Like putting on a second coat is like not my gig, and I'm getting it all over my face. Yeah, I don't love the way my lashes look. I want to try that again and not do a second coat, but like I'm not. Don't look at them. Ananda sent me this lipstick. It's from Hourglass. It's the shade Larch 308. I don't know the name, like a larch. Like I don't know. That's such a weird name. Sorry if your name is Larch. But it actually looks a lot, well, first of all, it looks like every lipstick I own. So like nailed it. But it also looks a lot like a Gucci shade that she gave to me. Maybe a little warmer. So that's Larch, but it looks a lot like Cimarron. And Ananda also sent me Cimarron. Oh no, this is Larch. Cimarron. Cimarron is actually like way more my speed. This is very red. This is actually a perfect example. So I love deep brown lipsticks, but oftentimes when a brand, especially a luxury brand, goes in a deep brown, they tend to add a lot of red. It tends to look like this, but like this Gucci one, you can see it has like a little bit of a purple in it. Not like that it is purple, but it makes it lean more cool. This is like my speed. Very raisiny. I'm not going to put that with this look, even though I think it would work. One of the other things that Typology gave us was this lip oil. I think it's a lip oil. It's the powder pink lip oil. So it's actually funny because I've heard two other people talk about this and they were like, oh, powder. But it's like, it's the color. The color is powder pink. It's not like a powdery formula. Very cutesy, very demure. But the other thing this is a ½ ounce of lip oil. That feels like a lot of, it's interesting because it's like in the glow drops, I'm like, that does not feel like a lot of glow drops. But then in the lip oil, I'm like, that's too much. It's too much lip oil. I mean, it's generous, but hold on, let's see. This is from In Beauty Project and it's the lip oil from them. You get 0.2 fluid ounces. So this is more than double than that. Wonder what the cost is. I'm gonna apply it. And I don't know, to me, at least on my skin tone, this is like a very nudie pink. I've worn this, a couple times off camera. I think it's a very comfortable lip oil. I'm not sure how much these cost, and I'm not sure I would ever have bought this shade. I think it's a good shade, though. If they have a brown, I would try that. Just for this to be in glass. It reminds me a little bit of the Victoria Beckham, but it's just not shaped like the Victoria Beckham ones. So this is the final look. let's go over everything. The Tula primer. I really liked it. I'm excited to use it again. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm just so ho-hum trying to finish this Victoria Beckham one that I've been like not really cycling through my primers at all. Still really love the Sigma concealer. My under eyes look really good. That's where I put it. I'm just not sold on the Sigma skin tint. And I feel like every time I wear it, I think I'm going to make it work for me. And I don't love it. The glow drops from Typology, I think they do something, but it's also just like, it's not supposed to be like Glow Lust at all. But if I was going to introduce something like this into my makeup collection, it needs to be a multi-purpose situation like that, because that's what that is. And it's not even like it's like the Charlotte Tilbury wand kind of finish either, because it just like has to serve a purpose. Like, but if it's just a mix in to make something more glowy, I can make anything glowy without this, so it just kind of feels like a worthless product to me. Fox Blush Balm, I like it so much better whenever I have more restraint and I didn't have to apply a bunch of it to get the color across. I think it looks really good and naturally flushed on my cheeks right now, so really into that. The Sigma powder, I think the Sigma powder is a real one. And this is probably the cheapest powder I've ever used on my channel. Oh no, I used the CoverGirl one, and that was actually very good. The CoverGirl powder was very good, but this is very good, and maybe the best, cheapest one that I've ever 100% recommended. That CoverGirl one was really good though. I didn't need it. But if I wanted to keep one loose powder around, I think I prefer this over the Suku, over the old Chiffon Sheet formula. So I'm very into that. The Gucci highlighter, she speaks for herself. Opal Pink. The Fawn eyeshadow palette. I'm not like not impressed, but I'm not impressed. This would happen with anything where there's a ton of praise. Like, okay. So let's see. I'm trying to think of a television show that like everyone really loved, and then I watched it and it just like it could never have lived up to the hype. I never really watched Game of Thrones is coming to my mind. So like early seasons of Game of Thrones, when everyone was watching Game of Thrones, I was like, there's no way this could be that good. And one time I did sit down and watch an episode of it. It was further into a season, so I like didn't have all of the lore, but I was like, I don't think I like this. This is stupid. It's not as good as everyone makes it out to be. And I just feel like that's what's happened with this. I feel like people have talked about these eyeshadow palettes like you're going to revolutionize the world. And I just think it's good. But it's not the best eyeshadow I've ever used. It's not the worst eyeshadow I've ever used. I just feel like pretty whelmed by them. I don't know. I like the mattes are really good. I do think my eye look is pretty, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, do you need to go out of your way to buy Lisa Eldridge? I don't know. That's up to you. If you're a fan of her, I can see why you really like it. As someone who's like never really watched her content, is kind of indifferent to her, I don't feel like I have that kind of buy-in to it. So I'm like, good, but I also feel like it's my feelings on it are tainted by the raves of other people. I hope you know what I mean. So it's not like I hate it. It's not like I think it's bad. I just think there was no way for me to come into this unless it was the best eyeshadow I've ever used. This was always going to be the outcome. Well, waiting to be wowed, okay? And I wasn't blown away 100%. I think, putting on my thinking brain for a second, I think if I hadn't tried Charlotte Tilbury's Future Mattes before this, I would have found these a little more revolutionary. But like they're kind of similar. They're not exactly the same. They perform differently, but like they have a similar vibe. So it's like, okay, I've known this formula. Like I've tried her before, but it's not. It's again not the same in application, but like same in idea. Like they have the way they feel. Like it was like, is this a cream? Is this a powder? I feel like they have that in common with each other. I don't like this. I like the City Beauty one way more than this, and of course I like my clean lash from Merit so much more than this. Like I don't, not gonna get me today. It's not it. The lip oil is beautiful. I've been like filming for an hour and a half, and I'm like, I've run out of words. So how about we wrap it up? If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching this to the end. I'm sure this was a very long video for you to sit through. What I like to do on my channel is I try to help myself and help you be more discerning about the makeup that we're purchasing by being critical and a little more realistic about how things work. So in today's video, we tried a lot of new makeup, but a lot of my content is surrounded by loving my makeup collection as it currently is without any of the new PR, any of the things that I bought for review. I want to love and love and love on the things that I already love because I already have them. They don't cost me money again. I already spent the money. I don't need to spend more money on them because I have them. If that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe and make sure you like this video. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. You can find those linked down below. I do an additional video over there every month. Whatever you donate to me, wherever you are in the patronage, you all get the same thing. You all get that one video. It doesn't matter. So pay what you want if you want, but there's no pressure to join Patreon or memberships. I'm just so happy that you are here. Liking, sharing, and commenting is always the best way to support me or any other content creator. I have a pinned comment. If you check that out, you will find links to help families in Gaza. You will also find links to help families in Asheville, North Carolina, who were affected by Hurricane Helene. And you will also find links to help people who were affected by Hurricane Milton. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up the video. I will see you. I think this will be the last video before my birthday video. So make sure if you want to ask me a question, check out my community tab. Ask me the question over there, and it might get answered in my birthday video, which I will be filming soon. And then probably after that will be the ethereal eyes. I'll be so late. Everyone will be so over. It might even be sold out by the time I get my ethereal eyes review up. But I want to take my time with it because I'm trying to find myself in it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow your haute and you'll find me. And I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.